You too. Good evening, y'all. Good evening. Peace and blessings. Peace, blessings, and abundance. Hope everybody's having a lovely, beautiful day. It's a beautiful day here in the Pacific Northwest. For those of you guys that are new here, I'm your host, Calvin Domingo, aka Steezy. Hey, man, we in the building and we checking in. Yeah, baby, we here. How's everybody doing, man? It was raining earlier today. There was some sunshine earlier today. We've had a little bit of everything as far as weather here in Seattle, but one thing hasn't changed, and it's John Schneider and the Seattle Seahawks going for it all. Talk about a full-blown rebuild, right? I mean, just a couple of weeks ago, a lot of 12s, a lot of people were panicking about Seattle's decision to trade away a Geno Smith, Seattle's decision to release a Tyler Lockett, Seattle's decision to trade DK Metcalf, all in the span of 5 days. And yet fast forward a week and a half or so later, and here we are, Sam Darnold on a 1-year deal. What is essentially a 1-year deal? Cooper Kupp, 3 years and $45 million. Details as far as guaranteed money have not yet been revealed. MVS, DeMarcus Lawrence, Josh Jones. The list goes on. I mean, let me just bring it up down here. But yeah, I hope you guys are as happy as I am. I'm feeling great. I'm ecstatic. I mean, you guys know me as the most optimistic guy in the room, but yeah, man, I feel great. I'm going to get to some of you guys here in the chat just because today's stream is going to be a little different. No, I don't have Norbcam hopping on tonight. And I also don't intend on this being longer than 30 minutes. This is going to be somewhat of a mini stream. And so there are a few things that I kind of want to discuss, but this is going to be a mini stream. I don't know if I've used that term with you guys yet, but I'm going to head over here to the chat. We got Nah Chief in the building, man. Always showing love, man. What's up, Nah Chief? What's going on, man? The official Meech always in the building as well. Steezy, what's good, my brother, man? What is going on? The official Meech. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for always tuning in, man, for real. And we got Rhea in the building saying, what's up? Hey, Rhea. This isn't me calling you out, but you playing. Your shirt is ready for pickup. You playing right now. But thanks for tuning in. We got Luke too in the building saying, hey, man, what's up, Luke? I don't know if we've met yet, but I think it's my first time seeing you in the building. So welcome, Luke. Thanks for being here. The official Meech is saying, I thought we had Tevin and Lucas in for a visit. I know for sure Tevin Jenkins, he might still be here in Seattle. Nothing has been reported. None of my guys have told me anything. And so I don't know what's going on there. Maybe there's been a bit of a delay. I'd still keep my hopes held high. Luke 2 saying, how you doing, bro? Happy, hella happy, man. Hey, man, I'm feeling blessed, man. I'm feeling blessed by the greatest, blessed by the best. I'm happy to be here, man. I love talking ball with you guys, especially those that continuously show up and routinely show love, man. This is one of the biggest reasons why I do it, for real. And so, yeah, I'm ecstatic, truly. Reed here saying, LOL, I'm not playing. All right. Anyway, for those of you guys in the chat, just a quick reminder, you guys, before we kind of get into the meat and potatoes of the show, hit that notification bell so you never miss a live show / upload on this channel. And as always, man, all super chats are greatly appreciated. If you guys peeped in the chat prior to the show starting, what I did say or what I did put out on there was that whoever donates the most amount of super dollar, I guess that works. Whoever donates the most amount of super dollars by the end of tonight's show will win a free Team Steezy zip up unreleased of your choice. And then Rhea saying she messaged me. I'll be sure to check that after the show. You guys. So like I said, this is going to be a mini stream. I'm not going to have any guests on. I still do want to interact with you guys, those of you guys that are in the chat, but there isn't really too much to talk about, right? At least as far as news, there's still a lot of things that have yet to be released as it pertains to contract details and whatnot. But what I really wanted to talk about today was the fact that there's 2 new wide receivers and 1 Kupp. If you guys get the reference, I don't want to touch too much on it just because it might be a little inappropriate. But as you guys can see on the thumbnail, 2 wide receivers, 1 Kupp, MVS, Cooper Kupp. And there's an argument to be made that Seattle, there isn't that much of a drop-off. If we're looking at Seattle's losses at wide receiver, right? DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, who, by the way, combined for 1,592 receiving yards last year. I think when you bring in the Cooper Kupp and an MVS, those 2 combined might be an upgrade over last year's version of DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Yes, obviously the receiving yards are down, but last year Cooper Kupp and MVS combined for 1,121 receiving yards last season. Keep in mind, DK missed a couple of games. Cooper Kupp missed, 5 or 6 games. And I'm not using these stats to say that Cooper Kupp and MVS, that duo, is better than a DK Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett. All I'm saying is that I don't think that there's much drop-off at all, if there even is any sort of drop-off from Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf to Cooper Kupp and a Marques Valdes-Scantling. Not to mention, Seattle is likely to add help at wide receiver in this coming NFL draft. And so you have 10 picks to work with. I'd assume at least half is going to the offensive line, maybe a few going over to the defensive line. There has to be at least 1 or 2 at linebacker, and then maybe 1 or 2 at cornerback and receiver. Perhaps you want to draft a running back too, maybe a quarterback. All right, there's a lot of different directions that Seattle can go. Heck, I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle were to trade down, not necessarily at number 18, but with some of their picks in the later rounds of the draft. Point is, I don't think Seattle ends with 10 draft picks. I think Seattle could have more. Who knows? Maybe Seattle does something different and trades up. We'll see. But the premise is that Seattle has a whole bunch of draft picks to work with. And because of what Seattle has been able to accomplish in free agency, now you don't have nearly as many needs. So going back to what I was saying earlier, I think there's an argument to be made that Cooper Kupp, the duo of Cooper Kupp and Marques Valdes-Scantling, are going to be better than what you lost in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I get it. Cooper Kupp has a hard time staying healthy. That much we know. And when he was on the field last year, yes, it kind of looked like he might have lost a step or 2. But before the injuries, beginning of last year, he was turning up. What was it? Week 2 against Arizona, he had 150 plus yards? And so you mean to tell me that that version of Cooper Kupp is just gone? I've seen pundits out there express their skepticism about Cooper Kupp and what he's going to bring to the table, not just because of the injuries, but a lot of pundits think that he's slowed down. A lot of pundits think that, oh, if the Rams didn't want him and if they wanted to get rid of him, then that's a bad thing. But not necessarily. It's not that the Rams dumped Cooper Kupp. It's not that the Rams didn't want Cooper Kupp any longer. The Rams didn't want Cooper Kupp at almost $30 million, right? When it comes to, and I hate to say it because you're almost turning these guys into strictly commodities and no longer human beings, right? But being the business that it is, you're only as valuable as the number attached to you. And by that number, I mean your contract. And so Cooper Kupp at $30 million a year, 31 years old, yes, not many teams, well, no team is going to want that, right? But Cooper Kupp for about half that number? And keep in mind, the Rams are still having to pay him some money. And so maybe that's why he was okay with cutting that number in half. But Cooper Kupp at $15 million a year Once again, we don't know what the guarantees are. Those details have yet to be revealed. Hopefully we know sometime in the next week or so. But 3 years and $45 million, I really don't think that is a real 3-year deal. It's probably a 2-year deal at max. Maybe the third year, there aren't any sort of guarantees. Maybe there's a bunch of escalators or it's a heavily incentivized contract. Again, we do not know. But Cooper Kupp at $15 million a year in this market, even at that age, even given the injury history, I still think is somewhat of a bargain, especially because he's familiar with the system, especially because he's not going to be relied upon as the number one. With the Cooper Kupp, it's hard to say whether or not he's a true upgrade over a DK Metcalf, but when you combine Cooper Kupp with the Marques Valdes-Scantling, Scantling is that big body, taller body, I should say, because not many folks are as big as a DK Metcalf. You guys get what I mean. But when you add Marques Valdes-Scantling alongside a Cooper Kupp, I think those two in totality are going to bring more to the table next year for the Seattle Seahawks than what you had last year from DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. With the Cooper Kupp, and I hate to sound like I'm comparing the two, but I'm really just getting into this argument to make my case. Cooper Kupp, for one, we know that there's not going to be any sort of drama whatsoever attached to his name. He's a leader. He's a guy that those in the locker room or everyone in the locker room wants to be around. He's going to run block his ass off, right? So there is that factor. I think there is that element that's underrated that not a lot of people really look at when judging wide receivers, but he's going to run block his ass off. He's a leader that's not going to draw any sort of drama or negative attention to him. He's been a captain, right? And that goes into what I'm saying about him being a leader. He's still a route running savant, a route running maestro. He knows how to get open with the best of them. He has reliable hands. His hands are more reliable than a DK Metcalf. His route running is more reliable. And again, I'm not trying to turn this into a Cooper Kupp versus a DK Metcalf battle. What I'm just saying is that in totality, you combine an MVS and a Cooper Kupp, I think their impact is going to be greater than that of a DK Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett. Let's revisit that trait, though, right? So, again, the Seahawks turned DK Metcalf into Cooper Kupp, pick number 52 in this year's NFL draft, which could very well be a wide receiver. Jaden Higgins, Trey Harris, anyone. Who knows? Maybe Seattle falls in love with some of the guys in the first round. Maybe they want to take a Luther Burden the third. Maybe they want to take, or maybe even trade up for a Ted McMillan. Now, there will be more of a skill overlap here if they were to take an Emeka Egbuka. I highly doubt it, but there are some fans clamoring for him, so it is a possibility. But again, the Seahawks turned DK Metcalf into Cooper Kupp, pick number 52 in this year's NFL draft, and a whole lot of financial flexibility moving forward. Pittsburgh gave DK 5 years and $150 million. A lot of that money was guaranteed. Would you rather have that, or would you rather have Cooper Kupp and let's say pick number 52 is a wide receiver moving forward? Chat, feel free to please drop your answers down below. Let's talk. But again, you turn DK Metcalf into Cooper Kupp, pick number 52, and a whole lot of financial flexibility. I'll take that any day. As much as I love a DK Metcalf, it's hard to pay wide receivers and quarterbacks 40 plus million, 30 plus million when you have so many holes across the roster, particularly on the offensive line. And so while it might not have been a fan favorite move when it happened, trading DK Metcalf had to happen. And it might turn out to be one of the best things that's ever happened to this franchise. It sounds crazy to say, but once again, as unpopular as it might have seemed in the moment, trading DK Metcalf might just be the sort of reset that this franchise needs for this next era to be ushered in, for that process, for that new era to be expedited. Go back to some of you guys here in the chat. I'm going off there. Let me see. Not Chief is asking, who did the Seahawks sign recently? Was it a corner? Yes, from the Saints. It's going to be down here on the ticker. Not Chief. His name is Shamar Jean. It's right here. I was waiting for that. Shamar Jean Charles. He played primarily on special teams, but he did have, I think it was a couple of interceptions on limited snaps with the Saints last year. And so I'm not going to be able to dive too much into that just because I haven't looked too much into the player. But what I do know is that he's going to provide a lot of value on special teams, and he'll definitely see some snaps at cornerback. But another guy from the Saints, Shamar Jean Charles. We got Syjan in the building, man. Seahawks, what's good? Hey, Syjan, always happy to see you here. Great to have you, brother. The official Meech is saying if we get a fully healthy Kupp, it's over for the league, and he gonna want revenge against the Rams. Hey, facts, bro. I mean, not only does he have an opportunity to go back home, right? I mean, here he is. He's home, but he gets to stick it to the Rams twice a year. I mean, how much better does it get, right? It reminds me of when Bobby Wagner, when he was released by the Seahawks, ended up signing with the Rams, and he was an All-Pro that year. Now, I don't know if Cooper Kupp is going to be an All-Pro this year. I wouldn't bank on it, but a 1,000-yard season, a Pro Bowler again, helping the Seahawks, helping this team. I kind of froze up there. Helping next year's team make the playoffs, I'll take that. And we face DK this year too. I'm going to that game. Meech, I'm going to just say this, though. That game is in Pittsburgh. But what happens, because if I'm in the NFL, and I'm assuming there's a lot of smart people, in the NFL, remember, the Steelers are hosting the NFL's first ever regular season game in Dublin, Ireland. So what if the Seahawks, or what if the schedule makers see that the Seahawks are coming into town, because that is a designated home game for the Steelers. And so if I'm one of the schedule makers, I'm pinning the Seahawks against the Steelers in Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland. And so, who knows, maybe the Steelers re-sign Russ, right? Then it's this new-look Seahawks team versus DK and Russ on the Steelers in Ireland. I mean, that's narratives galore, is it not? Not Chief. As much hate that we give John Schneider, he has been cooking this offseason. Not Chief, that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to say, because boy, did we underestimate John Schneider. Yes, while it looks good on paper, Schneider and the rest of the front office have done a masterful job of digging themselves out of the PR mess that was releasing Tyler Lockett, trading DK Metcalf, and trading Geno Smith all in the span of 5 days. So yes, that was a PR mess. A lot of fans were just panicking. I've said this nonstop. A lot of fans were in disarray. A lot of fans were tripping. A lot of fans were calling for John Schneider's job. But again, fast forward to now. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. Fast forward to St. Patrick's Day, and here we are talking about how the Seahawks are just turning heads, and the season hasn't even started yet. The draft has yet to commence. Free agency is far from over. Who knows? Trades could still be made. But the Seahawks are already turning heads. Talk about rebuilding. So many fans and non-fans alike were talking about how the Seahawks were rebuilding. After trading Geno, after trading DK, after releasing Tyler, well, guess what? There's still a chance that Tyler Lockett comes back. Well, guess what? There's a chance that Sam Darnold is an upgrade over Geno Smith. Well, guess what? There's a chance that Cooper Kupp stays healthy and is an upgrade alongside an MVS over a DK Metcalf. There's a lot of things to consider. And yes, none of this is going to be as good as it looks on paper if the offensive line isn't addressed. But if the offensive line, if the trenches are a strength in this year's draft and the Seahawks have 10 picks, then you have to guess, you have to believe, you have to assume that the offensive line is going to be addressed. And yes, while it might be tough to have to rely on a bunch of rookies or young guys to anchor the offensive line, let's not forget there are already a couple of foundational pieces on that Seattle offensive line. I'm looking at you, Charles Cross, Abe Lucas. I'm looking at you. I still have high faith in Oluwatimi, some of the guards from last year's rookie class, Christian Haynes, Satoa Laumea. Are we not taking into account the fact that these guys are going to improve? Tevin Jenkins was in the building reportedly for a visit earlier today. Who knows? There could be a signing that comes to fruition within the next couple of days. The defense is still, for the most part, intact, minus Draymond Jones. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence is an upgrade, respectfully, over Draymond Jones. And so we're looking at a top 10 defense from the middle of the year until the end of last year. The majority of that unit is still intact. And now Mike McDonald, with a full offseason under his belt, has that defense to work with. Oh, boy. Boy, did we underestimate John Schneider. Or maybe I should be speaking for myself, or maybe I'm speaking for all of y'all. Maybe I'm speaking for all of us. I don't know, but what I do know is that a lot of people were down John Schneider, myself included, entering this offseason. Even after the first week, right? When Lockett and DK and Geno, when all those things happened in the way that they did, I thought it was more of like, okay, Seattle's retooling, but I don't know if I fully even believe that myself. But again, you fast forward to now, St. Patrick's Day, and Cooper Kupp is in place. Marques Valdes-Scantling, Jake Bobo is obviously still there. Cody White, yes, he's been a mainstay on special teams, but in some of the games that he played in last year towards the end of the year, I thought he showed a few flashes. And so Cody White is another guy to kind of look at. Hopefully he makes the roster, and if he does, I would not be surprised if he were to, find himself with some snaps, more so on offense than just on special teams. But let me turn back to some of you guys here in the chat. Luke 2 is saying, did we get DeMarcus Lawrence? Yes, Seattle did sign him to a 3-year contract worth up to $42 million. I think only $18 million is guaranteed, but yes. Not Chief. Seattle pulling up to Atlanta again this year. Hopefully I get to go for real this time. Hey, Not Chief, I'm going to let you know if I'm able to go to that game, but if I do, definitely got to link up for sure. Luke 2 is saying, I think MVS might be better this season than Lockett last season. Honestly, I don't even think that's a crazy take, Luke 2. Lockett, 600 yards, 2 touchdowns. And yes, he was wide receiver 3. And so maybe it isn't fair to compare his numbers to an MVS. But last year, in only 8 games with the Saints, MVS had 4 touchdowns and 4 games with over 50 yards. He had a couple of 100-yard games as well, or maybe he only had one 100-yard game, but I do know that he had a couple of 80-yard games. He had a 100-yard game. He had 4 50-plus yard games and 4 touchdowns in only 8 games as the bona fide wide receiver 1. Teams his entire career have known that he is almost strictly just a deep threat, and yet he was running deep all year long. Derek Carr kept finding them deep. It was to the point where not only did I have to add him in Dynasty, but I seriously considered adding MVS in a bunch of redraft leagues last year. Now, I know this is fantasy, but MVS has never really been known, at least during the regular season, as a guy that could put up numbers. Well, he did that, and he's playing for the same guy, Klint Kubiak, this upcoming year. And we know that he can stretch the field, and so that's going to give JSN, that's going to give Cooper Kupp some time to operate underneath. But Luke 2, I don't think it's that crazy to say that MVS might be better this season than Lockett last season. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of people that might disagree. There might be somewhat of an uproar, but I don't think that's a crazy take. I really don't. The official Meech is saying, let John cook. Now, if he crushed the draft, this is an A- off season for us. Only time will tell, but I believe this front office can. I believe it. Can't agree with you more, bro. What if we use Derek Young as the Swiss Army knife in this offense? It's possible. It's very possible. He's shown promise in spurts. He has also primarily been a special teams guy, but maybe he is ready to take that next step. We'll see. If he makes the roster, then Seattle definitely has plans for him. My Thick are in the building. Thank you for tuning in. Who you got at 18? It's an offensive lineman. I mean, I'm really, there are options there. And so I'm not tripping if it's Tyler Booker from Alabama. I'm not tripping if it's Josh Connerly from Oregon and they decide to kick him inside. What's his name? Gary Zundell, the interior offensive lineman. I wouldn't be mad at that, but it has to be an offensive lineman for me. I don't want to go Jackson Dart at 18. If Shedeur Sanders were to fall, I don't want to go there. It has to be an offensive lineman. Not Chief is asking, how good is Tevin Jenkins? He was on that trash Bears line. Not Chief, he did start off his career as a tackle. Then he kicked inside, and he looked much better inside. He did have to deal with some injuries to start off his career, but I do think that Tevin Jenkins is better than advertised, and I do think that he's better than what was shown as a unit with the Bears last year. He does have pedigree as well. His PFF grade was in the mid-60s last season, so there's that. Mid-70s is what my thick are meant. Who do you have your eyes on with these 10 draft picks? Sajin, I mean, I kind of just talked about it. Seattle has 10 picks. A minimum of 4 of those picks have to go to the offensive line. A minimum of 4. And so I talked about some of the guys that I'd like for Seattle to take at 18th overall. Gary Zundell, Josh Connerly, Tyler Booker. Those are some of the guys. And then I do think that Seattle has to leave this draft with the wide receiver. We got Dakota in the building saying, don't sleep on Matthew Golden at pick 18. Before Seattle signed Cooper Kupp, I did think that Matthew Golden was a potential target in the first round. Because what I wanted was for Seattle to trade DK, acquire another first, and then use that later first to take a Matthew Golden. Now, I'm not so sure. I'd be more willing to go receiver on day 2 or in the second round. I talked about it earlier. Trey Harris, Jaden Higgins, the receiver from Stanford, Io Maynor. Couple of big bodies there that Seattle can get. And so while I would love Matthew Golden on the Seattle Seahawks, I did get to watch him run at the combine a couple of weeks ago. Very, very fast. I think taking him at 18 might be a little too rich for me. Not Chief is saying if we get Jalen Miller in the draft, I wouldn't be bad. I wouldn't be mad in the second round or third. Yeah, look, I mean, I think Seattle should definitely take a quarterback in this year's draft. Not in round 1, but day 2 with those 2 second-round picks. So let's say Seattle addresses the offensive line in round 1, and then with the 2 second-round picks, go receiver quarterback, or go quarterback offensive line, or go offensive line receiver. Bunch of different ways that Seattle can kind of go about there. Dakota saying Jenkins, according to PFF, he is ranked 17th overall as a guard. We got Tyrese in the building, man. Steezy. Hey, Reese. Hope you're doing well, brother. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to tap in, man. I hope you're doing well, brother. It's always love, though, for real. Good to see you. Good to see you. Kenneth Grant at 18 is my pick, I think. There's a lot of good interior offensive linemen in the second and third rounds, plus we might sign Jenkins soon. I wouldn't be mad at this as well. I mean, the defensive side of the ball is already a strength. If Seattle were to continue to add to that, hey, I'm here for it. Grant would open up Byron Murphy to play 3 tech. Agreed. We got Zayd in the building. What's up, Steezy? It's me, Zayd. How you doing, Zayd? Thanks for taking the time to tune in. Happy to have you here. Good to see you here. Sajin is saying thanks. That's what I was feeling with DK also. Hey, Sajin, I always say this, but great minds think alike, right? Oh, okay. Zayd here is saying we about to be a dominant team this season. I'm thinking that Seattle can make a playoff run. I'm going to say that. But to go as far as to say dominant, we're going to have to see MVP Sam Darnold in the building there because, I think it's certainly possible if Cooper Kupp were to stay healthy and if Sam Darnold were to build off of last year, possibly. Coda here is saying our new offensive scheme is going to look pretty sweet. Run heavy offense with a complementary dynamic slot scheme. Kubiak is from the Mike Shanahan tree. Really looking forward to Kupp and JSN. Right, and there's going to be a lot of 12 personnel, so it's not going to be very often that we see 3 receivers on the field. A lot of play action, a zone run scheme, right? Darnold is going to be able to excel. He's going to excel in this offense. Again, I've talked about this primarily on last week's show with Norbcam, but this is going to be his third year in the same system. A couple years ago, when he was the backup to Brock Purdy in San Francisco, was his first year under that system. Last year, under Kevin O'Connell in the Minnesota Vikings, was year 2. Now, this is going to be obviously a variation of those offenses, but there's going to be a lot that Klint Kubiak pulls from those same offenses. And so, Dakota, great point, run heavy, a lot of play action, new zone run scheme, a lot of 12 personnel. Seattle might also look to draft a tight end in this upcoming draft. Zayd is saying Seattle's going to need a fullback. Dominant in 2026 at the earliest. I think that's a more reasonable take there. My take are, I agree. The official Meech is saying, in Geno's words, they wrote us off and we ain't right back. Love it. I love it. Not Chief. I'm going to be watching Sam Darnold throwing touchdowns to Jetson in Atlanta. Hey, man, I hope I get to join you over there. I'm looking at the 2026 quarterback class. So many good prospects. And it helps that Sam Darnold's contract is essentially a one-year deal. So if he doesn't perform up to par, Seattle could be taking his replacement as early as next year. Zayd is saying, let's go get Taysom Hill at tight end. I think Seattle should definitely target and go after Taysom Hill. I talked about that on Instagram about a month ago, but let's also remember he is coming off a torn ACL, so he likely isn't going to be ready to start by the time the season comes around. But again, he has knowledge of the offense. He has excelled in the red zone. He has excelled as a Swiss Army knife. And so by all means, if he passes the physical, Seattle should do it. We got Allen in the building, man. What's going on? Steezy, yeah, it was good, my boy. And chat, go Hawks. Hey, go Hawks, baby. Thanks for tapping in, Brody. Thanks for tapping in. All right, so one more here. If someone would have told me that we would have Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp on this team, I wouldn't have believed them. Hey, no cap, man. I would not have believed them either. But hey, here we are, and yeah, here we are. We talked about that DK Metcalf trade earlier, just to kind of revisit the Geno Smith trade. Again, it's not just Geno Smith into Sam Darnold. It's Geno Smith into Sam Darnold, pick number 92, and a whole lot of financial flexibility moving forward. Now, I do find it curious and very interesting, to say the least, that Geno Smith has yet to sign an extension with the Raiders, so it remains to be seen what sort of money, what sort of contract they're going to give him. But what I also found fascinating was Shedeur Sanders posted up with Geno Smith and posting on his Instagram. Them two just kicking it. I think he had captioned it, quote unquote, legend. So we'll see what happens there. All along, I've predicted Shedeur to Vegas, and if not Vegas, Shedeur to Cleveland. And so it'll be real interesting to see how that kind of plays out. And it'll be real interesting to see when Geno signs his inevitable extension with the Raiders. You would have thought that it'd be done by now. You would have thought that they'd held a press conference by now. I don't know what the holdup is. Hopefully we find out the truth sooner rather than later. But again, you're going from Geno Smith and DK Metcalf to not just Sam Darnold and Cooper Kupp, but pick number 92, pick 52, and a whole bunch of financial flexibility. And for a team that has been mired in, I say this as generously as I can, mediocrity these last, for the last decade now, those moves had to happen. I think the last thing that I do want to talk about, though, is the fit between Cooper Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba. There are a lot of skeptics out there that don't think that Cooper Kupp and Jackson can coexist. What I'll say is this. If you don't think that Jackson Smith-Njigba can play outside of the slot, then I don't think you've watched. Let me scratch that. If you don't think that JSN can excel outside of the slot, then I don't think you watched him at Ohio State. If you don't think that those two can be interchangeable on the football field, then I don't think you've watched enough Cooper Kupp. I don't think you've watched enough Jackson Smith-Njigba. if Jackson Smith and Jigba was truly and strictly just a slot receiver, I don't think that he would have been as hyped up as he was when he was drafted or coming out of Ohio State. I don't think that his fellow receivers would have looked at him the way that they did if he was strictly a slot receiver. JSN is a bona fide number one who can play, who can excel in the slot, but he can also be moved outside, right? That's what makes a guy a number one receiver in the National Football League. Versatility as far as lineup formations, right? Where they can be lined up on the field. Maybe he's not your prototypical or ideal X receiver, but you put him out there as a Z. You put him out there in the slot. He can be the X from time to time. Cooper Kupp is probably better suited to stay in the slot, especially at this stage in his career. He's not as athletic. He's not as fast. He's not as quick as he once was. But if he also needs to be moved outside, I mean, he's proven that he could do that, right? Earlier in the show, we talked about how he get nasty when it comes to run blocking. He's going to have that physicality. Lineup versatility, I mean, he's still as versatile as it gets. And so I don't want to hear anybody else talk about how they can't coexist. You can't have two slot receivers. I mean, come on, y'all. You think Seattle would really have two strictly only slot receivers on the roster as their wide receiver 1 and 2? Come on, y'all. Really? Oh, we got Austin in the building, man. Much love, brother. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to my guy Austin here for the thumbnail. That thumbnail is fire. 2 wide receivers and 1 cup. Shout out to Austin, man. That's my guy. For any of y'all out there that are watching this, that are potentially going to catch the replay, if you need a thumbnail done, hit up my boy right here, man. For real. Seattle needs to draft some dogs. Ooh, official Meech here suggesting Jalen Walker 18. Dakota saying, what's your take on picking a running back? I think we need another one due to K9 getting injured a lot. Look, this draft class is stacked at offensive line. It's stacked at defensive line. A lot of tight ends. There's also a lot of running backs, right? I've been doing a lot of running back research because I'm in a bunch of dynasty fantasy football leagues. And yes, there are a bunch of running backs that are going to look like gems. There are a bunch of running backs that are going to go on day 3 that will emerge as starters. And so while I wouldn't be a fan of Seattle taking one in rounds 1, 2, or 3. Seattle taking one on day 3. So rounds 4, 5, 6, or 7. Yes, I definitely am in favor of Seattle taking a running back, just not so early because, again, there are so many other needs that have to be addressed. But Dakota, I'm with you. I do think that not only because of the injuries, but I'm just not sure if Seattle's going to extend both K9 and Zach Charbonnet when the time is up, right? Or when the time comes. And so, yes, there's a Kenny McIntosh as well, but it doesn't hurt to add another running back, especially given how injury prone the position is. And so I am in favor of Seattle taking a running back, but not until day 3. I like Bay Shore from Virginia Tech. He feels like a Seahawk. Oh, see? We're on the same time, probably a 5th or 6th rounder. Daquan in the building. Getting Sam at a reduced cost of Geno after the season he had and Kupp at half the cost of DK is wildly impressive by the Seahawks front office. Exactly. I mean, the 15 mil compared to DK's 30 mil, massive W. And then let's assume that Geno gets about 45 million a year. You're saving about 12.5 to 13 mil going from him to Sam Darnold on top of getting a draft pick, on top of getting that financial flexibility. And so it truly is a big W, for real. For the running back take, we need to give McIntosh a chance, man. He is a dog. And Not Chief is from Atlanta, so he knows a thing or two about them Georgia boys. Oh, shoot, I got to watch this film. I'm pretty sure he's a dog, too. That whole Georgia O-line is beast. Hey, no cap, no cap. Well, you guys, I think that just about wraps it up for me. I did want to keep this show under 45 minutes, and we are getting to the 41-minute mark. And so to everybody and to anybody that's going to catch the replay of this, thank you in advance for tuning in. Chat, for everybody that was patiently waiting, for everybody that has been kind of tapped in and sending messages back and forth. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys, man. I will go live soon. And like I promised, long form content is coming back before the season starts. So stay tuned for that. If you aren't already subscribed, man, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are subscribed but don't have that notification bell on, well, hit that notification bell so you never miss a live show or an upload. Sometimes I just kind of come out the cut with the show or with the stream, right? Sometimes these aren't planned. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I feel like going live. I feel like dropping something today. And so hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Last but certainly not least, all super chats are greatly appreciated. If you guys want daily content, then you should be following me on Instagram at Steezy A Smith Media. Once again, at Steezy A Smith Media for daily Seahawks content. Chat one more time here before I call it a night. We got the Immortal EO Tech in the building saying thanks. No, thank you. Luke 2. Oh, all right. Good stream, bro. Sorry, guys. I know I usually go a lot longer on my streams. I noticed that when I stream for longer than an hour, it kind of ruins things for me as far as the YouTube algorithm. I don't think they're huge fans, or maybe it's the audience, right? I don't think they're as huge fans of these 1 hour plus shows. And so I'm trying to change that a little bit. I hope you guys understand. But Luke 2, thank you for tuning in. Sajin is saying thanks, brother. No, thank you. Not cheap. Peace out, Steezy. You might go to see us off-season content. Oh, man, thank you. There's a lot of great content creators out there. I have a lot of collaborations in the works. And so you'll be able to peep other Seahawks content creators and media people as well on this channel. So I guess I'm doing you a favor. But not cheap. Thanks for always showing love, man. And my good brother in the building. Love, bro. Noah. It's been too long, brother. Ethan told me that you guys are planning on coming out here next week, so we definitely got to put something together. But my brother, man, I hope you're doing well. I miss you. I hope you and the family have been well. I see you've been, you've been keeping busy. You've been covering basketball over there. I look forward to tuning in to some of that. And I look forward to the next time that we work together. But hey, you guys, if you guys are still tuned in, man, at Noah Bolter TV on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube, show my brother some love, man. The official Meech, good live, brother. Hey, peace out, brother. Next time I'll go live, hopefully it'll be a longer show. This was a short show. Like I said at the top of the show, this is more of a mini stream. But yeah, hey, Meech, thanks for tuning in, brother. It's always love. Most def. Have a great night, everyone. Hey, you have a better night, Alan. Thank you. I'll see you guys in the next show, man. For real. I always have a lot of fun doing this. But yeah, that just about wraps this up. It's a wrap. 2 wide receivers and 1 Kupp, man. I'm excited. Oh, it's gonna shout out to bro. Appreciate you, fam. Love seeing you shine. Hey, you like it, I love it. You love it, I like it. You love it, I love it. I love you, brother. We'll talk soon, all right? Luke 2, peace. Peace and blessings, you guys. Blessings and abundance. As I like to say, Steezy out, baby. Again, this video is going to be dedicated to Mr. Todd Nas. While that concludes this video, we have loads of other content. You don't have to stop watching there. Other content on our channel homepage, as well as our social media platforms. And again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for us. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Nothing but love, and Steezy out.